Hey, before we start part 17 of Wonder, what I thought I'd point out is an author craft that's really interesting and this author uses. So if you listen, you might like to add this to your writing craft. When an author uses people's names, depending on the relationship between the two people, they might use the name or the nickname or no name at all. So in this case, you'll notice that Via calls him August, especially when she's serious. But Jack is friends with him now, so he's calling him Augie. And then Via, her name is Olivia, maybe there's a time when her name Olivia is used, and that would set the tone for the person who's talking. Maybe it's a teacher. Maybe it's something serious. Olivia. Also, let's see what Jack calls Via, because Jack's only just met Via. And if you weren't thinking, you might just, when you were writing from Jack's point of view, you might just write the word name Via, but he's just met her. So let's listen to how the author specifically chooses names depending on the relationship and the mood they want to set. 2 minutes later, the sister came back with this guy named Justin. Seems like a cool enough guy, longish hair, round glasses, and he was carrying this silver case with a pointed end. Hey guys, said, Justin, this is my little brother August, and that's Jack. Hey guys, said Justin, shaking his hands. He seemed a little nervous, and I'd kind of forgotten what it's like to meet August the first time. Maybe he was a bit nervous. Cool room, he said. Via's boyfriend, said Augie. See, now Jack's calling him Augie. Augie asked cheekily, and his sister pulled his cap down over his head as a joke. What's in your case? I said. Is it a machine gun? Ah, that's funny. No, it's a fiddle. Justin's a fiddler. He's in a Creole band. Hey, what's Creole? You should tell people that's a machine gun. Ha, I guess you're right. Well, Creole's the kind of music you play in Louisiana. Were you from Louisiana? No, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Huh? Oh, I don't know why they made me want to laugh. Louisiana's from the south of America and New York's not. Come on, Justin, said Via, pulling him by the hand. Let's go hang out in my room. Okay, see you guys later, he said. Bye. As soon as they left the room, Augie looked at me smiling. I'm from Brooklyn, he said, and we both started to laugh hysterically. Okay, so I think the author's only put that in to show, firstly, that Via's now bringing other people home and introducing them to Augie, and she's not embarrassed or she's proud of him and she doesn't care. So she's sensible. But also maybe the author's put that they laugh to show they're friends now. Sometimes, this is another one of these. Sometimes I think my head is so big because it's so full of dreams. That's from a really old book and play called The Elephant Man, or maybe it's a movie. I don't know if it's a play. It's a movie anyway. The first time I met Olivia's brother, who's this? The first time I met Olivia's little brother, I have to admit I was totally taken by surprise. I shouldn't be, of course. Olivia told me about his syndrome. She's even described what he looked like, but she also talked about all his surgeries over the years. So I guess I assumed he'd be more normal looking by now. Like when a kid is born with a cleft lip and has plastic surgery to fix it, sometimes you can't even tell, except for a tiny scar above the lip. I guess I thought his brother would have some kind of scars here and there, but not this. I definitely wasn't expecting to see this little kid in a baseball cap who was sitting in front of me right now. By the way, the author again has used an author's craft. I don't know if you can see it. They've used no capital letters and barely any full stops. That makes it a lot harder to read, but it also shows that he's a bit of a lazy teenager, can't be bothered writing properly. And that's a good thing. They're doing it on purpose, by the way. Don't go and do it and say, I did it on purpose. That's showing a teenager writing it. Actually, there were two kids sitting in front of me. One of them totally normal looking kid with curly hair named Jack, and the other one was Augie. I'd like to think I was able to hide my surprise. I hope I do. Surprise is one of those emotions that's really hard to fake, though. Whether you're trying to look surprised when you're not trying, when you're not, or trying not to look surprised when you are. I shook his hand, and I shook the other kid's hand, I didn't want to focus on his face. Cool room, I just said, to distract him. Are you Via's boyfriend, he said, and I think he was smiling. Olivia pushed down his baseball cap. Is that a machine gun, the blonde kid asked me. Like I hadn't heard that one before, and we talked about the Creole music for a bit, and Via took my hand and led me to the other room, and as soon as we closed the door behind us, we heard them both laughing. I'm from Brooklyn, one of them sings. Olivia rolled her eyes as she smiled. Let's go hang out in my room. We've been dating for 2 months now. I knew from the moment I saw her, the minute she sat down at the table in the cafeteria, that she was cool. Couldn't keep my eyes off her. She's also really beautiful. I think she kind of gives off that vibe without meaning to. Stay back. Don't even bother, she's like, giving off that vibe. I don't care about you. I don't want a boyfriend. She didn't seem to care at all. So I kept looking her right in the eye too, like I was daring her to look at me. And then I asked her out, and she actually said yes, and I was really shocked. She's an awesome girl, and I really love being friends with her. She's so much fun. She didn't tell me about August until the third date we had. I think she used the phrase craniofacial abnormality to describe his face, or maybe it was something else. But I know the one word she didn't use was deformed, though, because that word would have registered with me. So, what did you think? She asked me nervously the second we were inside her room. Are you shocked? No, I lied. She smiled and looked away. You are shocked. I'm not, I assured her. He's just like what you said he'd be. She nods and plops down on the bed, kind of cute, how she still has all stuffed animals on her bed. Shakes one of them, a polar bear, and without thinking, she puts it on her lap. I sit down on the rolling chair by her desk. Her room is immaculate. When I was little, she said, there were lots of kids who never came back for a second play date. I mean, lots of kids. I even had friends who wouldn't come to my birthday parties because he was there. They never actually told me this, but it would get back to me. Some people just didn't know how to deal with Augie. You know? I nodded. Some people's parents didn't even role model or teach them that Augie was just a normal kid who needed friends as well. And so did his sister. Well, it's not even like they know they're being mean, she adds. They were just scared. I mean, let's face it, his face is a little scary, right? I guess, I answered. But you're okay with it, she asked me sweetly. You're not too freaked out or scared? I'm not freaked out or scared, I smiled. She nods and looks down at the polar bear on her lap. I can't tell whether she believes me or not, but then she gives the polar bear a kiss on the nose and she tosses it to me with a little smile. I think that means she believes me, or at least that she wants to. Imagine feeling that you can't you can't invite people to your house because of how somebody looks, or how somebody sounds, or even what your house looks like. That would be really bad if you had a friend that judged you for the size of your house, or the computer that you had, or the clothes you wore. That was not a good friend. So you don't want to be that friend, but you also don't want friends like that. You want friends who are open-minded and kind and are friends with people because they're good fun, not because of the type of car they own, the size of the house, the clothes they wear, all those things. Valentine's Day. I gave Olivia a heart necklace for Valentine's Day, and she gives me a messenger bag that she's made out of old floppy disks. Oh, I'm not even going to tell you what they are. They're computer things. Very cool how she makes things like that. Earrings out of pieces of circuit board. Dresses out of t-shirts. Bags out of old jeans. She's so creative. I tell her that she should be an artist someday, and she wants to be a scientist and geneticist of all things. She wants to find cures for people like her brother, I guess. We made plans to finally meet her parents at a Mexican restaurant near her house, and we were going to meet them on Saturday night. All day long I was really nervous about meeting her parents. And when I get nervous, my tics come out. I mean, my tics are always there, but they're not like they used to be when I was little. Nothing but a few blinks now and occasional head pull. But when I'm stressed, they get worse, and I'm definitely stressed about meeting her folks. So tics are things that some people have. Again, Augie looks like he has, everyone has something different. And I've taught kids with tics and maybe they blink a lot or they go like this. And some people who've got tics, they actually say things. They might say things like tick, tick, not even the word tick, that was just my example. And they can't help themselves. If anyone knows Ed Sheeran, the musician, he has tics. Yeah, when he sings, the tics go away. So they often tics are when you're nervous. Ed Sheeran said when he sings, then he does he have tics or a stutter? No, I think he has tics. No. Lewis Capaldi. Do you know Lewis Capaldi? He is a singer as well, like Ed Sheeran. He's the one with tics, and when he sings, they tend to go away. But there was a time when he was up on stage and he was ticking so much like this, he actually had to stop his concert. So what I'm saying is famous people, talented people, clever people, beautiful people, they might have these things called tics. They're waiting inside when I get to the restaurant, and the dad gets up and he shakes my hand and looks me in the eye, and Mum gives me a hug. I give Augie a hello and a fist punch. And then I kiss Olivia on the cheek before I sit down. It's nice to meet you, Justin. We've heard a lot about you. Her parents couldn't have been kinder and nicer. They put me at ease right away. The waiter brings over the menus, and I notice his expression the moment he lays eyes on August. He's calling him August because he's only just met him. But I pretend not to notice. I guess we're all pretending not to notice things tonight. The waiter, my tics, and the way August crushes the tortilla chips on the table and spoons the crumbs into his mouth, remember, because of his mouth. I look at Olivia and she smiles at me. She knows. She's seen the waiter's face. She sees my tics. Olivia is the girl who sees everything. We spend the entire dinner talking and laughing. Olivia's parents actually asked me about my music and how I got into the fiddle and stuff like that. And I can tell them about how I used to play classical violin, but I got into folk music and then into Creole music. And they listen to every word I said and they're really interested. They tell them to let me know the next time my band's playing at a gig and they'll come and listen. I'm not used to all this attention, to be truthful. My parents don't have a clue about what I want to do with my life. They never ask. We never talk like this. I don't think they even know I traded my violin for an 8-string fiddle 2 years ago. You guys have to realize that not every parent is around, not every parent is interested, not every parent asks questions. So maybe you have one parent, but they ask questions and they're around. You should be really grateful. Maybe you have one parent who lives in Singapore and one in another place. Be grateful that they pick up the phone and call you. Maybe you don't have parents that spend much time with you, but you have a really cool auntie who spends lots of time with you. That's all right. People love you. After dinner, we go back to Olivia's for some ice cream, and their dog greets us at the door. An old dog, super sweet. She's throwing up all over the hallway. Oh. Though Olivia's mum rushes to get paper towels while the dad picks the dog up like she's a baby. "What's up, old girl?" she says. And the dog looks like he's in heaven. And his tongue's hanging out and his tail's wagging and his legs are in the air, all awkward angles. "Dad, tell Justin how you got Daisy." So they're a nice family. The dog's throwing up and they haven't yelled and screamed at the dog. They've realized dogs are dogs and they're just getting on with it and cleaning up. "Yeah, tell him how you got Daisy." Dad smiles and sits down in a chair with the dog still cradled in his arms like a baby. It's obviously told this story lots of times, but he knows they love to hear it. "So I'm coming home from the subway one day," he says, "and this homeless guy I've never seen in this neighborhood before is pushing this dog, and he's all floppy and he's all mutty, like he's got matted fur and everything, in a stroller. He comes up to me and he says, 'Hey mister, want to buy my dog?' And without even thinking about it, I say, 'Yeah, sure, how much you want?'" Remember, this is the father. And he says, $10. So I give him the $20 that I have in my wallet and he hands me the dog. "Justin, I'm telling you, you've never smelled anything so bad in all your life. She stank so much I can't even tell you." So I took her right from there to the vet down the street, and then I brought her home. "Didn't even call me first, by the way," said the mum said, interjecting as she cleaned the floor. To see if I'm okay with his bringing home this homeless but guy's dog." The dog actually looks over at the mum when she says this, and she understands everything everyone is saying about her. She's a happy dog. Like she knows she lucked out the day finding this family. I kind of know how she feels. I really like Olivia's family. They make me laugh a lot. That's interesting. The authors created two characters with similar life stories. The dog hasn't had anyone to look after him, or her, Daisy, and it sounds as if Justin maybe doesn't have a family that look after him very well. Maybe they're too busy working or going to parties, or I don't know. I kind of know how she feels. I like Olivia's family. They laugh a lot. My family's not like this at all. My mum and dad, they got divorced when I was 4 and they pretty much hate each other. Oh, this is tricky. If sometimes when parents split up, they're not very mature and they are really mean to each other. But I know your families, and if any of your parents have separated, live in different houses, then they actually probably are really, really mature and sensible, and they make sure that they are still good friends because you're their kid and you connect them. And that's really, really important. And I know that your families are really sensible. But it's quite common for parents to live in different houses. That's called separated. That's common. Not everyone stays friends for the rest of their lives, right? But if they've got some kids, they certainly still your parents together. They'll never disappear or anything. So he's saying, my parents are a lot like this. My mum and dad got divorced when I was 4 and they pretty much hate each other. I grew up spending half of every week at my dad's apartment in Chelsea and the other half at my mum's in Brooklyn Heights. I have a half-brother who's 5 years older than me and barely knows I exist. That means like the dad or the mum has another kid that lives with the other person. For as long as I can remember, felt like my parents could hardly wait for me to be old enough to take care of myself. You can go to the store by yourself. Here's the key to the apartment. Just let yourself in by yourself. It's funny how there's a word for overprotective to describe some parents, but there's no word to describe the opposite, underprotective, where they don't look after you. Neglectful, self-involved, just being lame. After all, they chose to have a kid. They should want to hang out with me. Even if they separate, they should still be mature enough to be friends with each other because they're both going to be raising you. Olivia's family tell each other, I love you all the time. Can't remember the last time anyone in my family told me I love them. By the time I go home, all my tics have stopped. Often when people have tics like that, it's because they're anxious and nervous. Maybe you chew your shirt. That might be because you're anxious and nervous. It might just be a bad habit. It might bite your nails. That might be because you're anxious and nervous. Some people have tics. Some people just always playing with stuff. Some people can't sit still. Their brains go really fast. Maybe they're anxious and nervous. That's why we do mindfulness and things. Look at me, I'm doing this. This would probably make me relax too. I do yoga. That makes me relaxed. Sometimes I use a mindful bowl at home. I've got my own mindful bowl here. Up on that shelf. That's interesting. So now we have a new character called Justin. Oh, now I'm getting confused. Justin and Julian. And he's actually really likes the family and is helping us understand that Augie's family are pretty normal and pretty nice.